choice. I got my first job at Ernst & Young before I even graduated, so it was definitely a good choice of school.
Very good. So when you came to the United States, what did you learn about money now that you were in a completely different country, different system? What did you learn about money early on when you got to New York?
Well, it took a while to learn about money. First, I needed to learn how to survive. So I've always worked throughout both of my undergrad and even graduate degree. But what I did learn is that there were ways to earn money where, in former Soviet Union, even if you were getting paid, it wasn't enough. I was raised by a single mom, and she, from what I remember, she's had 2 jobs for most of my life because, she needed to find a way to support us. Where here, I could go get a few part-time jobs, and that was enough to get by, for, the poor immigrants that weren't looking for much at that time. So I was really thrilled to know that, there are plenty of opportunities, and if you work smart and hard, then you'll be able to make a good living and, live a good life.
Very good. That's well said. So you've been involved in accounting and finance for a very long time. Now you have evolved into a specialist with commercial real estate and syndicates in particular. So can you share with us some of the money rules that you have personally? I know you're focused on helping people. I'm also quite sure that you're interested in building wealth for you and your family. So what are some of the money rules that you have as you navigate through business and investing?
I'm a big fan of Warren Buffett, and I really like what he says. So one of his most common expressions is rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Okay. I try to follow that. It doesn't always come out as true. Obviously, I've invested in the stock market for many years, and we've lost some money. As I mentioned, we purchased property in the past, and we lost money on that, but this was before I became an investor. We bought it without doing much research. So it's not always possible. Plus, as every other human, I learned from my own mistakes more than I learned from other people's mistakes. But I've been always more cautious about what I do and how I do it. So the plan has always been to only take the loans where it made sense and try to repay loans and then build financial future for myself, for my family, for our children now. And that's what my husband and I have been working on for many years, and I think we're doing a good job with that. Beautiful.
And there are so many books on investing, building wealth, whether it's real estate, stock market, building entrepreneurial small businesses. You mentioned one of the all-time great books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. What are some of your other favorite books on wealth building?
Sure. So some of my favorites, actually, one of my favorite books is the book that's ancient. It's literally 100 years old, The Richest Man in Babylon. And then another book, which is also older, is Think and Grow Rich. I really, truly do love those books. And, for folks that are starting out and potentially interested to be entrepreneurs, I always mention Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but that's every single real estate investor's favorite.
That is very true. It's such a impactful book. And The Richest Man in Babylon, that's Agmandino, right?
I think it's George Clayson, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm misremembering. But so that's great. And so with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is an enormous advocate for investing in real estate as well as being independent and entrepreneurial, Robert Kiyosaki, the author. Are there any other books in the real estate realm that you would suggest my listeners might check out if they're considering or maybe already involved in real estate investing in some way, shape, or form?
Absolutely. So most of the real estate books are written based on specific asset class. In my case, I've been fascinated, and I started my investing career with apartment complexes, multifamily. Two of my favorite books would be the two of David Lindell books. One is called Multifamily Millions. I don't remember the name of the other one, but he wrote two books, and both are extremely great foundational.
And then as we kind of wrap up, I also know that you are involved with one or more groups in the New York, New Jersey area where investors get together, I believe, and I have to make it to a meeting. I know you've invited me. We haven't worked it out, where investors get together and share ideas, best practices, talk about opportunities, just become more educated in the realm of real estate investing. So can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Absolutely, and thank you, Chris. I run two real estate investing meetups. One is in northern New Jersey area, the other one is in Manhattan. So we open our doors to anyone and everyone who wants to learn. And while my personal concentration is in syndication, the topics are typically go to a much broader range, from mortgages to personal development to, for example, today I actually have a meetup in New York City, and we are going to be talking about how to raise private capital. So the topics range in variety, and the presenters range in variety, from accountants to attorneys to mortgage brokers to anyone else. And yes, you're more than welcome to come to our group, and we would welcome an opportunity to have you.
Beautiful. Thank you for the invite, and we will have to make that happen. So for people that are interested, and I imagine a lot of folks are not very familiar with syndication, if they wanted to get more information about syndication as well as how you and SAMO Financial might be able to help, how could they get more information about you and SAMO?
They can find me on my website, which is samofinancial.com, or through social media handles such as LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Alina. I really am glad we finally connected with one another. It's been a little bit of a tough road. It was a good discussion. I think the syndication strategy is a fascinating one, and I'm glad we had a chance to speak, and one of these days hopefully we'll be able to meet in person. Thanks again.
Absolutely, Chris. It's my pleasure, and thanks again for inviting me to your show. It's been a pleasure.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of SagePoint Financial Incorporated and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note, the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of the information provided at these websites, nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management, LLC, not affiliated with SagePoint Financial.
Simply Financial is part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can find Exvadio podcasts at exvadio.com/podcast, the Apple Podcasts app, iTunes Store, iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you find podcasts. So join us and stay informed and entertained.